Madhava Kunja Bihari Madhava Kunja Bihari Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopidana Vallabha Giri Padadhari Jaya Gopidana Vallabha Giri Padadhari Jaya Gopidana Vallabha Giri Padadhari Jaya Gopidana Vallabha Yasodhananda Yamuna Tera Vanata Yamuna Tera Vanata Yamuna Tera Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama
Hare Radhacharya Stotra Satya Sri Srimad Divine Grace Kilabari Charan Bhakti Swami Sri Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Gandhi Ki Founder Charya Divine Grace Prabhupada Ki Namasarya Sri Hariya Thakur Ki Samabhata Bhakta Vrinda Ki Hari Nama Sankirtan Ki Ramdas Bhagavatam Ki all glorious to be some of the days, all glorious to be some of the days, all glorious to be some of the days, all glorious to Sri Guru to Sri Gauranga, all glorious to Sri Prabhupada. Om Shanti Gyananjana Daksharamitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadamayam Gadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavam Sri Rupam Sahajatam Sahadana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sadvitam Padijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahadana Vitam Sri Sakanditam Hare Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Krishna Namaste Tata Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sutidevi Pranamami Hare Vanchakata Guruyasya Kipasindhu Vyayevasa Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Narayanam Namaskritya Shaiva Narottamam Devim Sarasatim Vyasam Jaya Mudiraye. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is a very means of conquest, let us offer respectful obeisances unto Narayana, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, unto Narayana Rishi, the supremmost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Naprayeshabhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Tamasloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. By regularly hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam and by rendering service unto the true devotee, all that is troublesome within the heart becomes destroyed, practically to nil, and loving devotional service unto the Supreme Lord, with praise, with transcendental songs, becomes established as an irrevocable fact. Idam Bhagavatam Nama Puranam Brahmasamitam Uttamashloka Charitam Sakara Bhagavan Rishi Nishreyasaya Lokasya Dhanyam Swasaya Namaha. This Srimad Bhagavatam, known as the Grantaraj, the king of the literatures, is the literary incarnation of God. It is compiled by the incarnation of God, the Srila Vyasadeva. It is meant for the ultimate good of all people. It is all successful, all blissful, and all perfect. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Yadvaita Gadadhara Srivasati Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare
Hare Rama
Hare Rama Hare Rama
Rama Rama Hare Hare
Rama Rama Hare Hare
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Om Sarabhyaya Namaha
Om Surabhyaya Namaha
Om Sarabhyaya Namaha
Om Surabhyaya Namaha
Om Sarabhyaya Namaha
Om Surabhyaya Namaha
Mudam karoti vasaram tvam nangayate dilim Yat kripa mande Sri Gurum Dinatha Yat kripa mande Sri Gurum Dinatha Hare Krishna. Welcome everyone. Bhagavatam class. We are continuing with the 12th canto, 10th canto, actually, 10th canto, chapter 15, entitled The Killing of the Demons of Asura. And today we are looking at text number 13. 10, 12, 13. Right? 13, not 8. Adhagha Nama Vyapatam Mahasuras Esham Sukha Kridana Vikshanakshamah Nityam Yad Anta Nisha Jivedipsubhihi Itam Rithair Api Amarai Pratikshate Adhaga Nama Vyapatam Mahasuras Esham Sukha Kridana Vikshanakshamah Nityam Vedanta Nica Jivits Nityam Vedanta Nica Jivitipsubihi Pitam Ritaya Apyamarai Pratikshate Atha Nama Vyapatam Mahasuras Esham Sukha Kidana Vikshanakshamah Nityam Yadanta Nija Jivitipsubihi Itam Ritaya Rapyamarai Pratikshate Atha Agha Nama Vyapatam Mahasuras Esham Sukha Kridana Vikshanakshamah Nityam Vedanta Nisa Jivitipsubihi Itam Ritharapyamarai Pratikshate
Taganama vyapatan mahasura Esam sukha kredana vikshana kshamaha Nityam yadanta nija jevitam subhi Vitam tairapyamarai pratikshate
Ataganama vyapatan mahasuras Desham sukha kredana vikshanakshamah Nityam yadantar nija jivitepshubhi Ritamrite apyamarai pratikshate
Thereafter, Aghanama, a very powerful demon by the name Agha, Abhyapatat, appeared on the spot. Maha Asuraha, a great, extremely powerful demon. Tesham, of the cowherd boys. Sukkakritana, the enjoyment of their transcendental pastimes. Vikshana Akshamaha, being unable to see, he could not tolerate the transcendental happiness of the cowherd boys. Nityam, perpetually, yat antaha, the end of the life of Aghasura. Nija jivita ipsulihi, just to live undisturbed by Aghasura. Pita amritai api. Although they drank nectar every day. Amarai, by such demigods. Pratikshate was also being awaited. The demigods were also awaiting the death of the great demon Aghasura. Translation purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Sri Prabhupada. My dear King Parikshit, thereafter there appeared a great demon named Aghasura, whose death was being awaited even by the demigods. The demigods drank nectar every day, but still they feared this great demon and awaited his death. This demon could not tolerate the transcendental pleasure being enjoyed in the forest by the cowherd boys. Everyone kindly repeat. My dear King Parikshit,
My dear King Parikshit,
thereafter there appeared a great demon named Aghasura, whose death was being awaited
whose death was being awaited
even by the demigods.
even by the demons.
The demigods drank nectar every day,
The demigods
but still they feared
was there they feared
this great demon
this great demon
and awaited his death.
and awaited his death.
This demon cannot tolerate
This demon was not
the transcendental pleasure
the transcendental
being enjoyed in the forest
being declared the forest
by the cowherd boys.
by the company.
This cause
Oh, her garden.
yes,
Okay.
and this is also called Astachampa.
Uh,
There is
yes, these we have in Indonesia.
yes, it was
Oh, very nice. Yeah,
this is
very nice. Thank you. Yeah. Uh, Purport by Srila Prabhupada. And one may ask how Krishna's pastimes could be interrupted by a demon. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur answers this question by saying that although the transcendental pleasure being enjoyed by the cowherd boys could not be stopped, unless they stopped the transcendental pleasure of their various activities, they could not eat their lunch. Therefore, at lunchtime, Aghasura appeared by the arrangement of Yogamaya, so that for the time being, they could stop their activities and take lunch. Changing varieties are the mother of enjoyment. The cowherd boys would continuously play, then stop, and then again enjoy in a different way. Therefore, every day, a demon would come and interrupt their sporting pastimes. The demon would be killed, and then the boys would engage again in their transcendental pastimes. Translation again. My dear King Parikshit, thereafter there appeared a great demon named Aghasura, whose death was being awaited even by the demigods. The demigods drank nectar every day, but still they feared this great demon and awaited his death. This demon could not tolerate the transcendental pleasure being enjoyed in the forest by the cowherd boys. So this is still in the beginning of this particular pastime. Similar pastime of killing demons happen every day. Sometimes more than one demon would also appear. Mm. And there's a few texts which have no purport, which give a bit more information about who this personality, Aghasura, was. So we'll read a few of these texts, and then we'll come back to today's purport. So text number 14, we'll just read the translation. Aghasura, who had been sent by Kamsa, was the younger brother of Putana and Bakasura. Therefore, When he came and saw Krishna at the head of all the cowherd boys, he thought, this Krishna has killed my sister and brother, Putana and Bhakasura. Therefore, in order to please them both, I shall kill this Krishna along with his assistants, the other cowherd boys. And text 15. Bhakasura thought, if somehow or other I can make Krishna and his associates serve as the last offering of sesame and water for the departed souls, for my brother and sister, very pious person, then the inhabitants of Brajabhumi, for whom these boys are the life and soul, will automatically die. If there is no life, there is no need of the body. Consequently, when their sons are dead, naturally all the inhabitants of Braja will die. Two more verses without purpose. After thus deciding, that crooked Agasura assumed the form of a huge python, as thick as a big mountain and as long as 8 miles. Having assumed this wonderful python's body, he spread his mouth like a big cave in the mountains and lay down on the road, expecting to swallow Krishna and his associates, the cowherd boys. And then text 17. His lower lip rested on the surface of the earth, and his upper lip was touching the clouds in the sky. The borders of his mouth resembled the sides of a big cave in a mountain, and the middle of his mouth was as dark as possible. His tongue resembled a broad traffic way. His breath was like a warm wind, and his eyes blazed like fire. Anyway, this is the beginning of this particular pastime, which goes on. Coming back to the purport, Prabhupada is asking the question, one may ask how Krishna's pastimes could be interrupted by a demon. So, in the purport also, Prabhupada explains how the cowherd boys who were associating with Krishna every day in this simple activity of looking after the cows, they were constantly experiencing and feeling great happiness. In other places, Prabhupada explains how the very activity of Krishna consciousness, that means the very life of the devotee is meant to be a happy life. And especially in the context being described here, just again connecting with what Prabhupada referred to in the previous chapter, for some of you who were not here, in the previous chapter, which is entitled "The Daily Activities of Krishna." Srila Prabhupada explains how Krishna and Balaram and all of the cowherd boys, this was every single day of the week, there was no holiday like Friday or Saturday and Sunday, weekends, because every day one has to look after the cows. It's not that the cows stop giving milk on Sunday or don't eat grass on Sunday. So it's like, it's part of Nitya Lila, we could say. And there was no need of holidays, actually, because, people take holidays because they're somewhat miserable in their job. People, isn't it? They like to go away for a weekend, and they're especially happy if it's a long weekend. They look forward for the long weekend, and then everyone is looking forward to holidays, summer holidays, because most people actually are not liking their job, isn't it? Most people, I would say.
Nobody likes.
He's saying nobody. I'm being,
Helpless.
yeah.
Everybody goes.
I mean, I wouldn't say not everybody. I wouldn't say everybody, but I would say a lot of people, if not most people. And in the context of school, the same would apply. Most people don't like to go to school. And the simple reason is that most people are not even supposed to go to school. I mean, the kind of school that is, one person wrote a book, one person, I believe, from South America, forget his name, but you might have heard of this book called De-Schooling, How to Learn to Unlearn. Learning to, unlearn what we have wrongly learned. De-Schooling, very popular book, actually. And because we are being introduced here to two things. One is the natural way of living. The inhabitants of Vrindavan are showing us what is meant to be the natural and happy way of living. When we do things naturally, we become happy. When we do things that we like to do naturally, because we like to do it, we're happy. And as we discussed the other day, the experience that the cowherd boys have every day with Krishna and Balaram, simply by spending the whole day with the cows. Well, at this stage is with the calves, actually, with the small cows, the calves. It means that actually that is what is meant to be natural for young boys to do. And Prabhupada goes on to state that actually this is meant to be education, directly education. We have a wrong understanding. We have so many misconceptions actually in the modern era, which have been we take them for granted now, but they have been kind of imposed upon us in so many different ways. We think that to get an education, you have to go to school. Here we're being introduced to the idea that actual education, which is meant for the majority of people, doesn't require going to a classroom, which we discussed the other day is known as formal education. So we see through this these different descriptions how um, this was the standard and the norm at that time. So it means that that's why when we begin to understand the whole concept of dharma as being what is natural to all of us, dharma actually means reinstating ourselves in what is natural. Very important point, actually. What is natural, both spiritually and materially. I think we cannot under stress this important point, because in modern day society we are totally misunderstanding these two things. And in our context, just like our acharyas explain 5 levels of consciousness, isn't it? Anamoy, Pranamoy, Gyanamoy, Vijnanamoy, and Anandamoy. Anandamoy, which is the highest level of consciousness from the perspective of our Vaishnava acharyas, is exclusively only for those who are knowing about bhakti. Because bhakti is what can lead us and bring us to know about Krishna and to serve Krishna, isn't it? Actual ananda, actual happiness that everyone is searching for is that particular ananda of relationship. That's why our acharyas have so much very deep and rich explanation about the science of rasa. Rasa means ultimately relationship, different rasas. Everyone is actually looking for a relationship. Actually, on the Facebook, people will say, "I'm in a relationship now," and they're very. It's natural because it's our nature. Our spiritual nature is to be in the ultimate relationship with Krishna. That brings us full satisfaction, full happiness. So that's on the transcendental platform. Even Shantaras also brings happiness. You know, the residents of Vaikuntha, actually most of the living entities, or at least many living entities, are in the initial relationships of Shankarasa and Dasarasa. The higher relationships are only reserved actually in Goloka, the spiritual world. But in any of these relationships, one fully feels satisfied. One is fully satisfied. So the question is sometimes asked, can one jump or go from one rasa to another? And the answer is yes. But it depends on who we come in contact with. Just like Narada Muni, who travels everywhere, so he sometimes go naturally. Part of everywhere means the Vaikuntha planets also. And so if he meets people who are maybe in Tasya Rasa, then by his mercy, they might be introduced to higher rasas. Our acharyas speak about 2 main, levels of rasa. Means spiritual rasa, which is what when we read the Bhagavatam, we are especially introduced in the concept and philosophy of spiritual rasa. But the Bhagavatam also, as we are seeing here in the 10th canto, we were discussing this point a few days back, is also simultaneously introducing us to what seems to be material rasa, but is actually spiritual. In other words, uh, material rasa in terms of material dharma. Dharma, like rasa. Rasa is on two levels. Dharma is on two levels. So we are being introduced not only to, you know, uh, all of the different wonderful relationships that the residents of Braja have with Krishna, but we're also introduced to the number one, the ideal education, which the cowherd boys are an example of what is meant to be the ideal education for young boys. We cannot relate to that in modern day society because we're totally, it's like, you know, the plug has been pulled out. There's no energy, there's no ability to understand this. So we're introduced to the natural system of education. We're also introduced to the natural occupation, the natural, what is called prescribed duties. This word prescribed duties, I'm sure everyone has read. It's many times mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita, also in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Prescribed duties for humankind, for mankind. So the prescribed duties actually should fall within the category of Varna and Ashrama. And the prescribed duties should fall, especially for householders, if we understand properly the Vedic systems, the Vedic sciences. Actually, everything, you know, people are very attracted to science, to scientists, without really understanding that the real science is given to us by our acharyas, including material sciences, like the science of economics. I was discussing with Radha Vinod yesterday. He did come. Thank you very much. So Radha Vinod is his brother, and we were talking about the science of economics. So the science of economics is actually very simple. In many ways, our Vedic knowledge, is very deep and profound, at the same time very simple. Just like Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada was, being a pure devotee, was able to present us this very deep subject matter, but in such a way that even simple, ordinary people can understand. Otherwise, how he could, you know, bring so many people from who have no connection with the Vedic culture. Prabhupada was, one of the qualities of a pure devotee is that he is taksha, he is expert, very expert in presenting what is very deep and highest philosophy in such a way that even ordinary people can accept it. So this is part of our, I would say, responsibility or duty as devotees and as a society also. We cannot convey to others what we cannot understand ourselves, of course, isn't it? We cannot teach what we don't know. So therefore, part of being devotee for us is to try and understand what is being conveyed in terms of what is meant to be the real standard of education for people in general, especially for devotees, and what is meant to be the real standard of life in terms of occupation, in terms of prescribed duties. And the more we understand this, then we will come to know that we are rather far removed from what is the standard, you know. And the more we understand this, then the more we should hopefully try to take some steps or initiatives to come closer to that standard. It's like, you know, we read about what is a pure devotee, and we know it's like quite far. So, but we know that that's where we should be going. We should go in that direction, and we take different steps. We make different arrangements in our lives. One of them is by attending Bhagavatam class and chanting the holy name. All of these activities that are prescribed, so that we can gradually qualify to come to that standard. Because as long as we are not able to come to that level, we're still stuck here in the material world to continue our unending, suffering condition. So, and the last point to mention here, as we can see, which is being described here, is that the residents of Vrindavan, whether they go to school as described here, or whether they work in the field, because Balaram, he's in charge of the agricultural department. He's like the director for agriculture, because he always carries a plow. And the residents of Vrindavan, it's not that they just sit around all day, they're very busy and they work very hard. In one of the reports, I was surprised when I read that some time back. The residents of Vrindavan work very hard. We as devotees, we think working hard. If I work too hard, I won't be able to remember Krishna. I won't be able to chant my japa. Why I should go to a farm community? I won't. We are spoiled. Who else in the world, besides Hare Krishna people, can go from 4 o'clock to 9 o'clock in the morning in spiritual activities? Nobody. People have to go to work early, and generally they end up sleeping late, so they can't get up too early also. So forget about morning program for most people. And most of our devotees who are living far away, let's say from a temple, if they're fortunate, they will have a morning program, but generally it will be somewhat short. Some devotees don't have morning program. I don't know. At some point, it might be interesting for someone to do some kind of research and find out what percentage are doing what. But the residents of Vrindavan, the point being made here is that whatever they're doing, including the cowherd boys, is meant to be very instructive. Their way of living, their activities, they are meant to be what we call our role model. They are Vrindavan is the prototype. Vrindavan is the model in terms of lifestyle. And therefore, it's not just like, nice to hear about or nice to read about, and then we go about doing something completely different. But it's meant to be, they're meant to be lessons for us so that we can, in a very practical and systematic. Prabhupada was expecting and wanting that we actually learn from the Bhagavatam to actually live the Bhagavatam. We can read the Bhagavatam, we can study the Bhagavatam, we can hear the Bhagavatam, but unless we learn to live the Bhagavatam, then we're short of the objective. Anyway, these are a few thoughts. We can't go over time this morning too much, again, because we have some other engagement, but we have a few minutes if there's any thoughts, comments.
Just towards the last discussion, it was very close to my question actually.
Okay.
We have been participating in Bhagavatam classes. We have been hearing you from so many years, and most of the classes are like you talk about modern education system and the demoniac, uh, like what do you call technology, modern technology. Even the you talk about cow protection, how devotees live in community, and all these things. So we have been hearing this, and we have gotten used to it so much, but we hardly follow this. Isn't it considered as a disobeying guru?
Isn't it?
Considered as a disobeying spiritual master?
Disobeying.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Thank you
so
for coming to the point.
so so we have been committing this offense from years together.
Yeah.
So what is your role? How do you forgive us?
Stop doing it.
How do you save us from this offense?
See, Prabhupada makes a point that especially householders, they must again and again and again ad infinitum be hearing, so that by this hearing process, one fine day, the bell will ring. By the hearing process, every time we are hearing, we are getting purified. But in Kali Yuga, the level of contamination is so deep, and our conditioning is so strong that even though we theoretically know, but we've not sufficiently yet realized there is Gyan and there's Vigyan. And we can't imitate the Vigyan. Either it's there and it's not there. And how does Vigyan come? It comes, ultimately, of course, it comes by the mercy of Krishna, by the mercy of our acharyas. So there's very nice verse in the first canto. Ivam prasana manaso bhagavat bhakti yogataha bhagavat tattva vijnanam mukta sangasa jayate. That whole series of verses which culminate, in becoming free from the modes of material nature, will bring us to that position of being able to act upon the knowledge that we are hearing. Otherwise, it's just like nice philosophy.
Yeah. But Guru, like other places or in other, I don't want to name anyone, but other acharyas or other sannyasis, they do not, they just tell us in Bhagavatam class also, or in any other discussions also, somehow keep your chanting sincerely, practice, read Bhagavatam, all these things. So that makes us easy and comfortable to follow also, but you give us so much hard instructions which are difficult to follow.
We have to hear, there are many direct lectures from Srila Prabhupada, which are meant to shake us up. Most people avoid those lectures.
Yes.
We avoid things that are disturbing. We avoid things that, will kind of make us forced to maybe change our ways. Because everyone is happy in their comfort zone. We don't want to leave our comfort zone.
We choose instructions also with our own comfort, whatever is comfortable.
Yes. This is the heavy conditioning of modern day way of life. We are in our majority of people and majority of devotees are in different comfort zones. Many years ago, I had approached. I suppose I can tell this. I won't mention the name, but when I was a new devotee. When one was a new devotee, very enthusiastic. So I wanted to share the Bhagavad Gita with one of my family relatives. Put it this way. Because I'm going there, right? So I went to their house, and it was the first time they saw somebody eating with their hands. In India, we eat
Yes.
Right. What are you doing? Anyway, I presented about the Bhagavad Gita, and then at that time, actually, I was quite young, and that particular family was, was uh, newly married. So when I spoke about Bhagavad Gita, the reply I got was, I don't want to rock the boat. If I take this, probably, so better you keep it. We don't want to change our situation too much, even though we know that. So we have to pray for Krishna's mercy, Prabhupada's mercy, the Acharya's mercy to help us actually go from jnana to Vijnana, from simply theoretical knowledge to what is called practical applied knowledge. Ultimately, in Krishna consciousness, we can only be successful if we come to, it's like Prabhupada in one lecture, amazingly, he mentions, for 70 years I was in India, practically doing nothing. He said, he actually mentions that. Practically I was doing nothing. So we know he was doing so many things. But in one sense, it was like knowledge he knew about, his Guru Maharaj has given him the order to introduce Krishna consciousness in the English-speaking world. So Prabhupada's going to America, that was his Vijnana, actually, because he stepped out of India. In one sense, it's like we could see it as a comfort zone. Of course, for Prabhupada, it was not a comfort zone, as an example. So he started to apply and introduce Krishna consciousness with, of course, anything initial that we do outside of our comfort zone will be presenting some challenges. So taking prasadam is a very important part of it. We come to that one small announcement. Yes.
Today, our Guru Maharaj is commencing his world tour. The world tour is titled as Make Vrindavan Villages. And from today, Maharaj is leaving to Bali. And from Bali, Maharaj will be traveling to Europe, from Europe to UK, and then from UK to Canada, and Canada to US, US.
You're forgetting Africa?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah. From Bali to Africa, Africa to Europe, Europe to Canada, Canada to US, US, and from there to UAE. Of course, it is not yet fixed. It might get fixed. And from there to India. That means Maharaj will be completing his world tour yatra in the month of September ending. So let us chant Hare Krishna together. And Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Prabhupada ki
Jai.
Bhakti Raghav Swami Maharaj ki
Jai.
Make Vrindavan Villages Yatra ki
Jai.